Thank you, sister, for your blessings. Now I request our principal, Reverend Sister Dr. L. Vasanthi Medona, to give special address.
Dear and respected Reverend Sister Gemma, the Secretary of our college, dear professors, Mr. Ishwaramurthy, formerly senior faculty, State Bank Institute for Information and Communication Management, Hyderabad, the resource person of this national webinar on My Vote, My Egalitarian Future. Dear Dr. Tarasita Shanti, Controller of Examinations and Assistant Professor of Physical Science, and Dr. JEYA SUDHA, Vice Principal and Assistant Professor of History, the organizing secretaries of this national webinar, participants, and my dear students, a very good afternoon to each of you gathered in this virtual platform. Today, we celebrate National Voters' Day. As citizens of India, we should be proud that India is one of the biggest democracies around the globe. The Indian Constitution has granted the right to vote to all Indian citizens of sound mind above the age of 18, irrespective of any differences like caste, religion, social or economic status. Voting is one of the powerful means by which individuals can influence the decision-making of the government. The right to vote, when utilized properly and sincerely, decide the future of the country and of one's own future. The famous saying, government of the people, by the people, and for the people, would become a reality only when the whole nation takes part in a proper way in the process of election. When we look at the people across the nation, we see there is reluctance among the citizens to cast their vote with the understanding that one vote of mine would not make a difference, which is a wrong perception because every vote counts. Once again, I say, every vote counts. Voting is beyond any right. It's the responsibility of every individual person to vote and decide the future of the country. It's a national responsibility. I appreciate Dr. Tarasita Shanti and Dr. JEYA SUDHA for taking initiative to organize this national webinar on My Vote, My Egalitarian Future. I do appreciate Mr. Ishwaramurthy, formerly senior faculty, State Bank Institute for Information and Communication Management, Hyderabad, the resource person of this national webinar, for spending his valuable time to give awareness on the right to vote and how casting vote with proper discernment would lead to an egalitarian society. Dear participants and my dear prospective teachers, let your participation in this virtual meet make you aware of voters' right and the significant need for casting your vote to create a better India. I wish you all God's blessings.
Thank you, sister, for your special address. Now I call upon T. Bhargavi, the student teacher, to give Voters' Day pledge. Before that, I request everyone to unmute your mic and turn your video to take pledge.
Good evening all. I request you all stretch your right hand, take the pledge.
Video photo.
We
the citizens of abiding faith in democracy,
who abide in faith in democracy,
democratic traditions of our country, and the dignity of fair and
Bhargavi, please wait, ma. Your voice is not audible. Use, sit near to the mic, ma. Please sit near to the mic. Sit down. Sit near to the mic. Okay. Dear students, all of you, please unmute your mic and turn on your video, ma. Dear students, all of you turn on your video.
Bhargavi, sit closer to the device and speak. Otherwise, you are not heard. Come and sit next to the. No, you come and sit next to your laptop.
Bhargavi, sit down, ma. You sit there first. Bhargavi.
you on, stretch your right hand.
Yes, students, all of you, please get ready to take the pledge. Bhargavi.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, start.
We India my voice is not audible.
Yes, dear students, all of you, please repeat it. We as citizens of India, having abiding faith in democracy, hereby pledge to uphold the democratic traditions of our country and the dignity of free, fair, and peaceful elections, and to vote in every election fearlessly and without being influenced by considerations of religion, race, caste, community, language, or any inducement.
Any inducement.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request the Honorable Chief Guest, the resource person of this event, Mr. C. Ishwaramurthy, Senior Faculty Retired, State Bank Institution for Information and Communication Management, Hyderabad, to give address. Welcome, sir.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Sir, please unmute your mic. Sir, you are not audible, sir. Sir, hello, sir. No, sir, no, sir. Now, okay, sir, I think. Sir. Hello, sir. Now you try, sir. I think it's okay. Sir? Hello? Okay, sir. Now okay, sir. Now it's audible. Sir? Hello?
Good afternoon to all. I thank the esteemed secretary, principal, vice principal, and the other faculty members who have given me a chance to address the participants on this very important day of National Voters' Day. And I also congratulate the organizers of the meeting for giving a very apt title, that is Egalitarian, My Vote, My Egalitarian Future. Is that egalitarianism is a trend of thought in political ideology. That is, people should be treated the same, people should get the same, people should treat each other as equals, etc., etc. This concept tends to rest on a background idea that all human beings are equal in fundamental worth and moral status. So with that, I will start the address. Today is the National Voters' Day, and every year, 25th Jan, we are celebrating the National Voters' Day. And this was started in the year 2011 by Dr. Manmohan Singh's government. And from that day onwards, every year we are having this special occasion where new voters are enrolled on this day. New voters in the sense, whoever has become 18 since the last National Voters' Day are eligible to be enrolled as voters, and they are given a badge, proud to be a voter, ready to vote. And also it has a theme which says inclusive and qualitative participation. Inclusive democracy is after all inclusiveness. I was talking about egalitarianism. Same way, everybody should participate in the democratic process. That is the inclusion politics. And when I say qualitative, the way people participate in the process. That is, people, as our principal, madam, esteemed principal, was telling us, we should participate without any fear or favor, without favoring any creed, color, or caste, or for any monetary consideration. The candidates should be selected, or we must vote for a candidate based on issues, based on the way the candidate has addressed the issues we are facing. That is the qualitative participation in the voting process. And we, Tamil Nadu, have a very rich tradition of the democratic process of electing our people. All of you might have heard about Uttiramerur inscriptions. Uttiramerur is a place in Tanjavur where elections used to be held for the village council or Grama Sabhas. And that was started by a Chora king in the 9th century. It is a very famous place. Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, the previous prime minister, visited the place, and the current prime minister, Mr. Modi, also spoke about this in a recent international seminar. So there, our people used to elect members to the village council. Of course, there were some restrictions. The persons who could contest the elections had to be educated, had to have some landed property, should not have had any criminal antecedents, and also should be aged between 35 and 70. I will not say that it is very inclusive, but that was the best thing that was possible under the period. That during that period, that was the best possible solution available for having a democratic setup. And of course, this is not new to India also. Or those of you who are reading history or literature in the sense, or Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, you might have seen how Julius Caesar manipulates himself into the governing council of Rome. So it has been there throughout the world, and Uttiramerur also has set an example. And as Tamilians, we can be proud of our tradition. And as I said, there were some restrictions, not only here, but also in the Roman councils, etc., as to who can vote, who can participate in the election process, who can contest, etc. But now the idea is universal suffrage. Universal suffrage is everybody is given a right to vote. Suffrage comes from a Latin word, suffragium. Suffragium means the right to vote. And earlier voting rights were restricted to certain sections of the society, that too only to male members, etc. Even today, there are countries which place restrictions on women in participating in the election process. Women cannot participate in the elections, they cannot vote, they cannot contest the elections, etc., etc. And most of the modern nations gave universal suffrage voting rights to women only in the early 20th century. And the first country to give voting right to women was New Zealand. That was in the year 1893. And not surprisingly, today, all the three, that is the Prime Minister, Governor General, and the monarch, are women there. I think all of you will be knowing the Prime Minister is Miss Jacinda Ardern, and Governor General is Cindy Caro, and the monarch, of course, is the British monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. And also, many countries have made voting as mandatory or compulsory voting. Each registered voter has to compulsorily vote under the law. If somebody doesn't vote for any valid reason, if somebody doesn't vote and doesn't have a valid reason for not voting, then there is a penalty. Like in Australia, the voter is penalized $20. And in Brazil, some stiffer punishment is there. Same way with some other South American nations. And in Singapore, Switzerland, etc., certain civil rights are even stripped. That is, the citizens are stripped of some civil rights in case they don't participate in the elections. But that way, we are in a much, much better position. So, I would like here emphasize the role of teachers, because as teachers, and many of you, most of you will be teachers in the near future, you have a very great role in strengthening our democratic processes. And teachers have a dual role also. One, teachers have to inculcate the habit of democracy in their wards. They must make their students aware of their civic rights and civic duties. And also, when I say the civic duty, they must know how to vote responsibly. Voting responsibly is voting for the right person without being swayed by extraneous considerations, like monetary considerations, like caste, like creed, or some other consideration. The students should be able to analyze how the candidates will be responding to the needs of the nation, to the needs of the state or the local body, then vote for the candidate. So that is the sensible way of voting. And I think teachers have a great say in inculcating that habit. I don't say that you should advise students to vote for a particular candidate, etc. You should teach them how to analyze the strengths and weaknesses and the ideology of the candidate before voting. And the second role for the teachers is defined in our right of children to free and compulsory education, what we popularly call as a right to education, RTE, Act of 2007. In section 27, non-academic duties of the teachers are enumerated. And one of them is taking part in the electoral process. Preparation and division of electoral rolls in the elections through the local bodies, state legislature, and also the parliament. And deployment on the days of poll and counting. And also attending the election related trainings and the collection of election material. And after the elections are over, sealing the electronic voting machine and handing them over to the concerned authorities. Here I would like to narrate my own experience. Of course, it was a very, what I call, comic situation. I was working in Hyderabad about 25 years ago. I was deputed. Those days, bankers also used to be deputed to election duties. And I was there. We were deputed to a very remote village. We reached the place, village school, which was about 30 kilometers away from the city. We reached there, and I was a scale 4 officer. Scale 4, those of you who are having a family member in the banks will know that what a scale 4 is. Normally, we are called SMGS 4, Senior Management Grade Scale 4. But colloquially, we call ourselves Scale 4 officers. And that is a fairly a senior position at the local level. And in the government, Class 4 is a person, they do the normal routine work, like bringing coffee for others, stitching notes, etc., etc. Those things. And when the polling officer saw me as a class scale 4 officer, thought I am a class 4 employee, took out a flask and said, Murthy, go and get some coffee for all of us. And I had gone by my car. I jumped into the car. I was also happy I could get away from the school for some time. So drove away to the nearest town, which was about 4-5 kilometers away, had my dinner, bought coffee, came back. And the polling officer was slightly disturbed. He thought when he said buy coffee, I'll be taking the cycle available in the school to go out and get coffee. But I was going by my car. Then he asked me, what is your grade? What is your designation? What pay scale, etc., etc. Then only found out that I was drawing a pay slightly higher than the polling officer himself, who was, I think, that time a Tahsildar or a deputy Tahsildar. So it's just a joke. You might also come across, when in your election duties, come across such, what do you call, funny situations. So be prepared for all these things. Not only funny, sometimes you may have to stay in a very remote area without the basic amenities. Of course, in Tamil Nadu, we are very fortunate that overall development is there everywhere. But there are states. I have visited places like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, etc., where remoteness means remoteness. You don't get anything nearby. But in Tamil Nadu, at least everything is available within a reasonable distance. And as women, I don't think you will be asked to go out for getting coffee, etc. But that is a situation we have in the electoral process. And of course, India is the biggest democracy in the world. And I would say biggest democracy and also unique democracy. Because no other country has such a big population, such a diverse population, various ethnicities, various linguistic groups, but still able to sustain as a democracy. China is a bigger country, but 95% of the Chinese are of the same ethnicity, Han Chinese. Not only that, the Chinese citizens do not have any rights. They cannot, they do not have any role in the day-to-day running of their country. They cannot elect their representatives. Like in India, we can vote, we can elect our representatives, and also we can criticize. China, no criticism, no elections, no votes. So that way we are very lucky. We can vote, we can change our leaders when we need through our ballot, and also we can criticize our government when we think the government has taken a wrong policy decision. So all these rights are available to us. And the other major democratic country in the world, United States of America, though we call it a democratic country, there again, the Americans do not elect their own president directly. All of you will be knowing the difference. We have the parliamentary democracy, whereas the Americans have the executive presidency. Means once the president is elected, he has absolute powers. And there, the process is very, very complicated. The president is not selected by the people, but selected by an electoral college. They have two political parties, and some Sunday parties are also there, but major two parties are there. And every 4 years, they start a process called primaries. In each state, America has about 51 states, not about, it has 51 states. And the political party in each state, the unit of the political party in each state will start a process called primaries. And these primaries will elect the person who will be voting for the president. And there are 230 electoral votes, and whoever gets the higher number of votes becomes the president. That doesn't mean that the person getting the larger number of votes is more popular. Actually, it happened in the case of Hillary Clinton. She got more popular votes, but Donald Trump got more electoral votes and thus became the president. And not only that, in India, anybody can become the prime minister. Anybody can become the president. But America, till Barack Obama came, there was a restriction. I think some of you students of history will know, to become the president in the US, the person has to be a male wasp. Male, I think, should be, man. And wasp is white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Means a candidate has to be a man, a white and Anglo-Saxon ethnicity, and also a Protestant by creed. And then only he can even contest the election. That was the only exception till then, till Barack Obama came, was John F. Kennedy, who was Irish Catholic. Otherwise, this restriction was there. And of course, after that, Barack Obama came. There again, Barack Obama is 50% WASP. His mother is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. And his father was an immigrant from Kenya who came there for his studies. And after that, still things have changed. Now I think Mr. Biden is a Catholic married to a Jew. And of course, we are very proud that the vice president is half Tamilian and half Afro-American. So things are changing everywhere. But in India, right from the beginning, we have had wider choice. Our first prime minister, Mr. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, was a Kashmiri Pandit. Though he was a Hindu, he was an agnostic. I think you know the meaning of agnostic, neither believer nor non-believer. So he was the first prime minister. Then his daughter became the prime minister, but she was married to a Parsi. And the third prime minister was half Kashmiri, half Parsi. Then, of course, after that, we had Mr. Narasimha Rao, the first South Indian prime minister. Then we have Manmohan Singh, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who is a Sikh. And now we have Mr. Narendra Modi ji, who is from the OBC background. And in between, we have had interim prime ministers like Deve Gowda, Chandrasekhar, VP Singh, all from diverse backgrounds, which shows the strength of our Indian democracy. Anybody can become the prime minister. I don't want to talk about the president. The presidents have come from different backgrounds, different religious backgrounds, linguistic backgrounds. So that is the strength of our Indian democracy. So with that, I would like to conclude my speech. You teachers are the futures of the nation, and you're the fulcrum in nation building, in the democratic process, not only for yourself, but also for your wards. When you become teachers in the near future, please ensure that your wards, your students are also inculcated the habit of strong, vibrant, democratic processes. With that, I wish you all a very happy National Voters' Day. Thank you. Yes, madam.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable and thoughtful speech. It's time for interaction. If you have any doubts, you can ask now.
Dear students, anybody have any queries? Dear students? This is the time for interaction with our resource person. Anybody? Okay. Okay.
I think our
Thank you, sir.
future teachers should be
Ah.
more interactive, because you are going to guide your wards, isn't it?
Even teachers can ask on behalf of students. Even the conductors, they can ask questions on behalf of students and make it clear.
So nowadays, the electronic voting system.
Yes.
Nowadays, we are talking about that hacking of that voting votes, isn't it, sir? So is it possible, sir? Hacking of votes is possible, sir?
Madam, technically everything is possible. We are living in a wired world, right? So hacking,
Yes.
see, as I am talking to you, if I have the right technology, I can break into your phone, steal your data. So electronic voting machine also is a machine, and it's a standalone machine. Hacking happens only when it is wired. Wired in the sense it is connected to the internet. But there are ways of doing it, but I don't think anybody can do it, will do it. We can always program the chip. It runs on a processor. There's a chip inside the machine, can be programmed to manipulate the votes in favor of a particular party or a particular candidate. But it has happened. We have seen so many elections. So I don't think it is happening, but it is possible. In the same way, when we are going for the paper ballot, that also can be manipulated. When I was young, people used to say that the government is using a special ink by which when we vote for a particular candidate, that disappears, that ink disappears, and some other candidate's name, the voting symbol appears in some other candidate's name, etc. So it's possible, but I don't think it happens, and it doesn't happen. See, I have worked throughout the country. I have voted in Trivandrum, I have voted in Hyderabad, I have voted in Bombay, I have voted in Delhi, I have voted in Chennai, and last election I voted in Tirunelveli also. And I have voted for various parties based on issues, and I have seen the results are also varying, and we can see various states electing various different parties, different candidates, etc. So it is possible, technically possible. I was in our bank's technical team. I was in Bombay in our global IT center where we were doing the core banking. So I know when we are connected to the internet, anything and everything is possible. And you might have heard about modem. Any system, if you have a system in your college, that will be connected to a modem. Modem is nothing but modulation, demodulation, which decides the traffic from where it comes up. Traffic means internet traffic coming in and going out. So that system is manufactured by the Chinese, and we used to joke. Now the systems we have in the bank also, banking data is very, very sensitive, and still we used to joke. The machineries are manufactured by China. We do not know whether the data we send from our global server to the branch server is going only to the branch or to a copy going to China also. So that is the crux of the matter. You have a genuine doubt, it is possible, but as a senior citizen, as a senior voter, I don't think it is happening. Not here, not anywhere in the world. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Dear students, anybody have any queries?
One more question, sir.
Yes.
What is the flaw in democracy compared to any other systems? Here, 51% can take away the 49% people's willings, isn't it? Just
Yes.
2% will make entire things. Then what may be the flaw in the democracy system?
See, this is one way of democracy we have. First past the post gets the seat. And we have seen last elections also, somebody winning the seat by mere 10 votes, 20 votes, etc., etc. That is a system we have accepted. It was deliberated upon by the Constituent Assembly and the constitution makers headed by Dr. Ambedkar. they decided that we will have this sort of parliamentary democracy. And there are countries like Germany, etc., where they have a representational system, where a party gets 51% vote, then they get to nominate 51% of the legislatures in the parliament. Same way, some other party getting 30%, they get 30% members in the parliament. So whether we need to have such a democracy or not is to be decided upon. As of now, this is the system we have accepted, and we have to stick to that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, and Gerald, continue, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now I
Thank you,
call
madam.
upon R.A. Shiba, the student teacher, to give vote of thanks.
As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them, said John E. Kennedy. A warm good afternoon to all gathered in this virtual platform. It gives me great happiness to propose the vote of thanks. I first of all thank God Almighty for making this webinar a great success. Next, we are so grateful to our dear Secretary, Reverend Sister A. Gemma ICM, for her encouragement and guidance. Thank you, Sister. I extend my sincere gratitude to our dear Principal, Reverend Sister Dr. L. Vasanthi Madonna, for her continuous support, vision, and encouragement in all our efforts. Thank you, Sister. Next, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our today's resource person, Mr. C. Iswaramurthy, Senior Faculty, State Bank Institute for Information and Communication Management, Hyderabad, for presenting such a thought-provoking session on my vote, my egalitarian future. A very needed topic in this present era, and you have given a clear explanation and important points. We assure that as student teachers, in future, we will teach our students about the responsibility of voting. Thank you, sir. I extend my special thanks to Reverend Sister Dr. A. Nirmala Devi, former Principal and Assistant Professor of Education, Dr. E.C. Punita, Dean and Associate Professor of English, Dr. M. Maria Soroja, Research Director and IQAC Coordinator, Assistant Professor of Biological Science, Dr. N. Teresita Shanti, Controller of Examination and Assistant Professor of Physical Science, Dr. R. Indra Mary L. Selvi, Assistant Professor Psychology, Dr. A. JEYA SUDHA, Vice Principal and Assistant Professor of History, Dr. J. Maria Prema, M.Ed Coordinator and Assistant Professor of Education, Dr. S. Josephine, Director of Physical Education, Dr. P. John C. Rose, Librarian, and all the teaching and non-teaching faculty of our college. I owe a special thanks to our organizing secretaries, Dr. A. JEYA SUDHA, Vice Principal and Assistant Professor of History, Dr. N. Teresita Shanti, Controller of Examination and Assistant Professor of Physical Science, who worked hard to ensure that this occasion became a great successful. Last but not least, I thank all my dear budding fellow student teachers for making this webinar energetic. Once again, I thank you all for your cooperation and attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Shiba, for your vote of thanks. And we assure you that we won't forget to give our vote. And today we know the importance of vote. And thank you, ma'am, for arranging this program. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ishwaramurthy sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your information, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.